welcome back to No Cabin Fever today. With us today we have Linh from OpenLog Marketing, and she will tell us a little bit about how to set up and manage your marketing editorial calendar. So without further ado, welcome Linh, and the stage is yours.
Great. Thank you so much. So hi, my name is Judin, and I'm the founder and managing director of OpenLog Marketing. We're a brand agency, then we help clients all over the world, from local businesses to large corporations. We provide marketing services to help build clients' brands. So thank you to the organizers of No Cabin Fever today. I really love the initiative, and I hope you all have been watching the other talks. So today we're going to take a look at how to set up and manage your marketing editorial calendar. So we'll dive into what is an editorial calendar and essentially explain why it's necessary. Well, I'll talk briefly about the tool we use and why, and then I'll pop into a live demo so that you can see it in action, and then we'll close with Q&A. So let's begin. What is an editorial calendar? You can think of it as a potential publishing process. So it's a place where you can brainstorm content ideas, determine where to publish, and essentially when to publish. And many of you might already have one, but just in case, why is an editorial calendar necessary? First, it saves you time. So it gives you one place to organize your thoughts, and that ultimately saves you time when it comes to writing. And when your content is neatly settled, you don't have to spend time strategizing what, when, how, or where your content should go. And if any type of news breaks in your industry or around your brand, or like if a pandemic hits the world, it's a lot easier to make time for ad hoc communications, so you know already which content you can move around. And if you can imagine having to share, edit, keeping track of years worth of content, it might be possible for one person, but for a team, it's a complete nightmare. So by having an editorial calendar, you're able to publish things with quality content, and it's polished. You're also able to build up content to recycle. As a marketer, we call it evergreen content. And evergreen content is something that just lives, and it's not specific to a campaign. And then by having an editorial calendar, you'll make it incredibly easier to put your items in a bucket. So if you think about it, when you write, you want to have some sort of purpose to it. Is it a product feature? Are you doing something for brand awareness? Is it a how-to? You can actually even categorize it so that it's a philanthropy effort or a holiday blog. So when you know what you're publishing, it makes it easier. And then you can track it against your KPIs. So here at OpenLog Marketing, we're a huge fan of Trello. Trello, for those who are not familiar with it, it's a visual way for teams to collaborate on any project. So we like it because it provides information at a glance. You get to see the whole picture, but you're also able to dive into the details of the big picture. And there's seamless integration. So you're able to communicate within the platform, and because of that, you have less cluttered email inboxes. And since there's a browser and mobile app, we're always in sync with one another, and we get real-time updates. So let's go ahead and jump into the demo. So we built a board for our clients, and this is a copy of that board. We obviously changed the topic and the content so that it's relevant to why we're even here today. And if you're not already a Trello user, I know this may look a little bit overwhelming, but let me walk you through it. So first, we apply the basics of marketing. We like to start with how to use this board. And when you create this, then you think about how you want people to navigate through it. So we left a definition of what the labels are. And I'll go into this a little bit deeper in a little bit, but you'll get to see what it is, the way that it's all laid out. And then, of course, you know, you kind of give them tips on where you want the content to be stored. Our team, we use Google Drive and we use Confluence to store a lot of the content. Social media policies, typically you would put what you want your team members to behave or how they should, what their guidelines are. So if you think about it, when you have a whole team, it's good to have standardization. And by having this already laid out and defined, then it really it ties in any type of ambiguity. And again, with brand guideline and personas, this is incredibly important for anybody who's about to start an editorial calendar, because you need to know what type of content you're writing and who you're trying to write it for. So the way that we have this broken out, we have list of type and topics. And so this is where the team members would submit their ideas, and then what type, meaning is it a blog, a webinar, a video? And we also actually have another one for PR articles. And if you take a look at this, we've actually built in custom fields. So of course, with a lot of editorial calendars, you need a publish date, but you also need a due date. So the due date, we usually put there for things that is when everything needs to be done and it's 100% due. So, and the publish date is typically a different date. So if we take a look at this one, for example, it has a due date of the 23rd at 9 a.m., although this ideally it should be a week before, and then a published date of the same date, but a later time. When we take a look at the way this is transformed, and let me go back. So the way that you're seeing this now, this is the front of the card. And then once you open it up, this is the back of the card. So this is helpful because one of the things that we add on to here, the automation, you'll be able to see more of the details at another view. And I'll go into that in a little bit. But going through this, make sure you understand the process. So if you take a look at the flow, so the flow would be moving from left to right, obviously, and it's the way that you want to have the behavior of your team. So your team is, again, going to have the topics, and then once it's picked up and in progress, then it can be writing in progress or graphics in progress. This is typically how our team does it. And so one person would be writing, and then the other person would be doing graphics. Whenever everything is done, then they put it into ready for publishing. So this is where it's getting proofread and the checks and balances. When it's ready, it gets published. So I wanted to show a couple of things in regards to just like, I guess, automation or the possibilities you have with the cards itself. One of the things that I do highly recommend for an editorial calendar is to add in the calendar power up. So the cool thing about this is if you click on here, then you can see it in calendar view. You can see which items are coming up and which ones have already been scheduled. So this one's already been published, I'm sorry, and these are all scheduled. And here, since we have these labels on there, it's easy to understand. This one, someone's editing it, so it's not necessarily scheduled yet, but at a glance, you can see the progress if it's going through, and if you have enough content, that's scheduled out. So if you take a look here, one of the buttons that we added is, actually, hold on, let me open this up. One of the buttons we added was the blog button. So what that does is whenever we add a card, let's just say new blog, we hit this power up, it's a card power up, and it adds the standardization of what it would look like. So then we would have to add a title after that. We added the label, it added the team members, and it added a checklist. So that was really just with one click of a button. And I can go into setting that up, but I don't know if we'll have time. So if you guys have any questions on how to do that, just let me know. It's we use Butler for rules, card buttons, and board buttons. So that's something that I strongly encourage you guys to take a look at and play around with, because it's going to make your automation a lot easier. And so going back to my example, let's just say, when will this end? So this is a blog topic that I submitted. I can put in, I clicked my target persona because this is one of the custom fields that we built out. And let's just say and then when I share this with my team, they can vote on it. And so when they start voting on it, then you can see the number of votes. And this helps a lot because you get to understand what content is out there and how you can prioritize actually creating the content. So the way that we use this is just kind of an incoming list of ideas and for any type of topic, and it's a way to start organizing. Something that we did also is whenever you move cards over, we created an automation so that, let's see. So when we move this from ready for publishing to published, it removes the scheduled. And that's good because at least here we can see that this is published. Whenever we look into our calendar, we can see that it's already published and it's not scheduled out. Again, to make sure that you have the right content, the right mix of content, and knowing that you're populating your editorial calendar correctly. A couple of other things that I wanted to point out. Whenever you create this card, and let's see. So ideally you would create it always in this view or in this column because this is where your ideas are formatted. So let's do another new card. We want to do a webinar. So when we created this card, we didn't add the same automation fields. So for example, it didn't add any team members to here, and it didn't add a checklist, but you can always edit that later, and you do that in Butler. Here you can always, of course, add the team members to it and the labels. So I see that we're just coming up 1 minute close to time. Let me go back. So I wanted to see if there's any questions.
So if you do have any questions, there's the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. Otherwise, thank you very much for the very detailed run through. Looks very interesting to just have your editorial calendar sketched out in Trello. And we're seeing more and more use cases of Trello. So I really like that. Okay, so if there's no immediate questions, I'm pretty sure that you can reach out to Lynn either on LinkedIn or directly. Oh, there you go. So there's one question. Have you ever used an editorial calendar via Jira before switching to Trello?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, we did use Jira before. The reason why I switched over to Trello is because whenever you're working with creatives, you have to use something that is visually appealing to them. So as you can see, this is very visually appealing. And we're still able to track the progress or work through each task through each card. And so we try to do this, well, I try to do this with my team via Jira, and with my graphic designer, they were just not getting it. And it was more of a hassle to have them go through and understand the process of Jira, rather than just a drag and drop. So in Jira, you have to make sure that you have the fields set up correctly, and then you have to make sure that the workflow is set up. Whenever we build out a workflow here, it's just a lot faster. So yes, we did look at Jira, but for our marketing team, it made more sense to go with Trello.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
So if there's no more questions coming up, we would like to thank you for attending today, and be sure to be back tomorrow for a look behind the scenes of Confluence by Stefan Ernst from Bitvoodoo. Same time, same place. And once more, thanks again, Lynn, and have a wonderful day. Take care and bye-bye.
Thank you.